Okay, so in the first part of this hand IK section, I think we have covered this stuff. So we created a data structure called SIK hand IK by using SIK hand IK config, and there actually we initialize some variables, specifically this joint target location for both left and right hands, and this weight, right? And we added those stuff to this sanim config, which ultimately reflect those changes at this data table anim set, right? So here now for each movement we have this anim config hand IK, right? Now let's see how we can actually consume those variables at our animation blueprint, so that later on we can use those variables to actually manipulate our skeletal bones to perform the hand IK, right? So I don't need this stuff anymore because I think we are almost done with our data structural changes. So I'll close those stuff instead of keeping those thing open. But I'll keep open this DT anim set just for the reference. And then let's go to our character animation blueprint instance, which is this one. And what is the place that I'm actually reading this stuff? Let's go to the thread save functions, set animation data. Where did I call this lconfig? Right here. Yeah. So we get the lconfig by using lmovement struct. And movement struct will be taken through these movement groups, which is 5. Right. Think then what we can do is let's we have any overrides as well, and any validities and configs. Yeah, so here we have this and I get config, which is not connected yet because this is a newly added one. So I'll get it and break it. So we have these left hand specific configurations and right hand specific configurations. So I'll break left and right, and let's initialize variables for each of these one by one. Right, so for this one I'll promote it to a variable, global variable called disable L and IK. So L basically stand for left. Right. And then for the effector location, promote it to variable. Let's call it as effector location handle. And join target location also. Join target location and join target bone and For this one, I'll make it as maybe disable hand lik, right? So it's much more convenient, right? So those are for the left hand IK, and similarly, let's go through this right hand IK stuffs as well. So I'll promote this to variable, and this should be disable hand rik, and this one is effector location and r, and this one is join target location and r, and finally we have join target bone and r. Right. Let's add it to here. Right, then finally we need to promote this weight as well. So I'll promote it to a variable and call it as hand I gave it. Okay. And since these are skeletal control specific stuff, I'll move it to skeletal control data. But maybe I'll add another layer of category called hand I gave, right? And let's add everything to there. Joint hand, joint target bone, and for the right arm stuff, and finally hand I gave it. Right, now it much more clear. Right, and then we can go ahead and read this stuff at our anim graph, right? So at the anim graph, here is the place where we add the control rig IK, right? To specifically control our foot specific stuff, or schematic manipulations. I think this could be a place where we can add our full body skeletal control data as well. So I just make some space here, and here let's add a sort of an anim layer like this, right? So I'll add a new anim layer called full body skeletal controls, and here we need to consume some input. Therefore I'll select this another input. You can call it as base pose. Right. And for now I'll simply connect it to here, and let's go back to our main anim graph, and I'll drag and drop it to here. Then I can connect this to the base pose and can connect this output pin for the source of the control rig. Right, now let's go inside this full body skeletal controls, and right now it's just purely empty. But for the sake of starting our skeletal control stuff, I will specify some initial configurations that we need to be specified, and later on let's manipulate hand eye case one by one, right? But for now we can specify some initial configurations, right? Yeah, so first I can add some modify curve, and there uh, yeah, so there we have the IK, but doesn't have IK for leg. So how to add that? Right. Maybe we don't need to add this stuff to here, because we can handle the leg IK at here, right? So I think this control leg will handle the leg IK for us. If you check its implementation, yeah, most of stuff are leg IK, right? So foot tail and foot arm manipulations are there. So I think we don't need to add these foot specific stuff for this specific full body skeletal controls for now. But in case if we face some issues, let's add those stuff to here, right? So for now what we can do is so sometimes actually we can specifically call an anim sequence by using a curve value and manipulate this hand eye case as well. For example, like sometimes for some animation sequence frames we don't need to apply hand eye case even if those stuff has been enabled. So in such scenario we can use an animation curve to do those manipulations. So if you remember, like we have set of curves at here, right? So for turn your weight manipulations, disable leg IK, those stuff are there, right? So similarly we can add another curve to control hand eye case at the animation sequence level. So for that let's add hand IK retargeting node, and there there as the alpha we can specify a curve value, right? And this curve value should manipulate set of stuff at here. So for the hand, right hand FK, we can add hand R, this one and L, and right hand IK we have by default IK in the Unreal Mannequin. So let's use IK hand R and IK hand L, right? Right, so we have this IK hand gun as well to manipulate its own kinematics. So let's add to this IK bones to move. So IK hand gun I will use at there, right? And for this hand FK weight, we can use this and IK weight, right? Okay, and we can't directly connect it to here, but we have to first promote it to a local to component, then it will adjust this stuff for us, right? And this curve name, I can give whatever the name I want. So for now I'll give it like disable hand icon, right? So if you use this curve at your anim sequences, then the hand icon will be disabled for these specific boards, right? So I'll promote this to a variable called curve disable hand icon, similar to this one, disable leg icon, right? Move it to the curves group. Right, and then do we have a reference to disable control rig? Yeah, we have this disable control rig stuff. Yeah, maybe we can transform our root board as well. But yeah, for now let's keep like this. Later on, if we required, we can manipulate the root board, right? So I'll cache this, but first I have to promote it to component to local. Then I'll save a new cache called ikpos. Right, now this ikpos can be used to implement our ik stuff for left hand and the right hand. But I think we need to do some calculations as well. So let's do those stuff at the next part, and I'll see you there. Thank you.